Hello there, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you for making it Jamaica Magazine this Saturday. We head west today for a glimpse of what it was like for children who resumed face-to-face classes this week and witness youth groups helping in the fight against COVID-19. Later in our HealthWise segment, we'll explore epilepsy before shining the spotlight on science and research in Jamaica. Stay with us for these and more interesting features on the other side of these important messages.
Whenever you hear the following tone, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be giving information on an emergency situation affecting the island. Please be on the alert and listen to your radio and television for further information. This was a test of the emergency alert system, brought to you by ODPEM.
What do you need to know about masks for your children? You want to ensure that the mask fits your child snugly, as in it covers their nose, their mouth, and it fits neatly at the side of their face, no gaps. You want to get your children some washable, breathable mask made of fabric. You want to ensure that they carry an extra mask with them, because once that mask gets dirty or wet, they will need to change the mask. When they get home, you want to ensure that those masks are washed and ready for the next day or the other day to come. Also, remind them that they need to wash their hands when they're putting on the mask and when they're taking off the mask. And as much as possible, they should avoid putting their hands at the center of their mask. If it is that they have to make any adjustment to their mask during the day, it's important that they either wash their hands or use their hand sanitizer. Mask wearing is a new normal. Let's get it right.
In our Western Roundup segment this week, team member Nikita Sterling takes us to the classroom and links with COVID-fighting youngsters, as well as farmers impacted by the recent flood rains. That's next.
Students and teachers welcome the resumption of face-to-face classes. Youth groups in Western Jamaica joined with the Ministry of Health and Wellness to help fight COVID-19. And farmers in St. Elizabeth remain hopeful despite major losses as a result of heavy rains. You're watching Western Roundup. Stay with us for this informative yet exciting episode. 17 schools across the island recently resumed classes under a 2-week e-COVID face-to-face pilot program. We visited Somerton All-Age and Infant School in St. James, where students and the administration are giving the wave of approval.
We have some teachers with comorbidities who were kind of fearful coming out, but all our teachers are here today. The ones with comorbidities have now changed their mind and are a bit more comfortable based on what they have observed and what is happening. So they are now comfortable, as they said, coming in now to participate in the face-to-face. For me, I am okay with the face-to-face. Once we follow all the protocols, once we do what we are supposed to do, I think everything should be okay. The end result is for our students to learn. That is what we are aiming for.
For face-to-face, learning is way easier. And it's amazing to just see everyone, and you can tell them hi, you can talk to them, and it's nice to see your teacher.
I think it's a great opportunity for the students because the internet problems. Sometimes you don't get what the teacher says. The internet might come off, and I think it's better face-to-face. You get to see most of your friends. I really like it, and I think the learning is a little bit better.
In the coming week,
The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information will be assessing the schools to determine how well the program is working and identify issues that the ministry will need to take into consideration to inform future decisions. In the meanwhile, youth in Western Jamaica have signaled their readiness to help in the fight against COVID-19. They will join the Ministry of Health and Wellness in making and distributing masks and sanitizers to the vulnerable through the ministry's Youth Response to COVID-19 project.
We are happy for the project. We have been helping the fight with COVID, but with this mass building and helping out with more resources, we can do more to help with the fight of COVID-19.
We too are in the fight of the COVID pandemic, because we believe that in Hanover, a lot of young persons are not really taking the seriousness of wearing their masks or, sanitizing their hands. So we have decided that we want to make some sanitizers to give out to these youths and these children within the parish of Hanover.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the youth will be trained and will be supported by the public health team to execute their parish projects, which will have several components.
The message is to encourage our young people and our young leaders in particular who reside in communities across the country. They are the presidents of the youth clubs, the young leaders groups at the parish level. They are Kiwanians, they are service club leaders, they are, sports leaders, they are persons who are already involved in outreach and enjoy doing outreach. The truth is that they provide significant influence in the communities, and they can carry and have been carrying the COVID message, the message around masks, around sanitizing, around physical distancing. We need them to recognize that their influence can also improve and reduce the risk to others in the society and the community.
Dr. Tufton also toured sections of the Moy Hall community where face masks and sanitizers were handed to members of the public. Finally, the recent heavy rains have definitely affected farmers in a negative way. However, the farmers in St. Elizabeth are remaining hopeful as they partner with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries to move forward.
Here we are looking at what the weather has done to our crops over the last few weeks. Here the crops aren't in best condition, but we do have on fruits, and judging by the price range, we maybe can get back some of our expenses. And we have had other crops, not here but at other fields, that were totally destroyed. We lose all of that, and we are just here trying our best in order to get as much as we can out of the crop in order to go back up to our expenses. My plan going forward is just to try again. Basically, it is just to try again. We do have opportunities nonetheless, despite the weather and everything. The good thing about it is that we have harvested a lot of water that we can go forward in the dry spell.
Having assessed the damages, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Floyd Green says the ministry is assessing with the hope of getting some assistance to farmers as quickly as possible.
One of the things that we're going to do as a matter of urgency is reallocate a lot of our resources to ensure that we have an emergency relief program for our farmers. We want to ensure that our farmers are, one, back able to plant as quickly as possible. We think that's critical, and also we're going to help them during this process to salvage. As you would have seen today, a number of our farmers were looking at salvaging what they could from the fields. Some of them would need immediate access to things like pesticides, insecticides, fungicides. We're going to provide, and already we have started to do some emergency funds dispatching.
Some 12,000 farmers across the island were adversely affected by the rains. That's all for the program today. Thanks for watching Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Until next time, take care.
Informing.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus.
Educating.
If you follow the recommended procedures, it is highly likely that you will not get the disease.
Going beyond to keep you informed and connected.
Welcome to Get the Fact.
Even through the pandemic. Helping you stay safe while we protect ourselves. Dependable. Impactful. Accurate.
This is your JIS News.
Credible. Trustworthy. Every day, everywhere. Serving our customers proudly.
Epilepsy, or what we in Jamaica commonly call fits, is one of the health conditions for which awareness is heightened in November. And yes, there are myths that exist about the illness. So now we'll get the facts about epilepsy.
What do Socrates, Theodore Roosevelt, Charles Dickens, Alfred Nobel, Prince, Lil Wayne, Elton John, Danny Glover, and Hugo Weaving all have in common? If you said they're all famous, that's not quite the answer I'm looking for. All these prominent figures are believed to have or had what many know as fits or seizures associated with epilepsy, one of the oldest and least understood medical conditions.
It is not duppy take you over, it is not spirits. We have these myths that we do need to dispel in Jamaica. Some people think it's contagious, and it is not contagious. You cannot catch epilepsy. Anyone, anytime can get epilepsy.
So, what is epilepsy? It's a disorder of the brain characterized by recurrent seizures, which are short periods of involuntary movements involving a part of the body, a partial or focal seizure, or the entire body, a generalized seizure. Our brains run on electricity, which is produced by cells called neurons. In some people, these neurons sometimes produce a sudden electrical burst or power surge, resulting in a seizure.
Epilepsy is a chronic disorder, just like asthma or diabetes. It's a disorder of the brain. And so when a patient has a seizure, they do have unusual behavior at the time of their seizure. But otherwise, they're usually quite normal. It's also not a mental illness. People with epilepsy are not crazy. It's a brain disorder, but it's not a mental illness.
The cause of epilepsy can be genetic,
meaning that you can be born with a genetic disorder that predisposes your brain to be abnormally wired, and that you are more likely to produce these epileptic discharges and have seizures recurrently. Sometimes you may have, when the baby is being formed in the first few months of their embryological life, you may have an abnormality happening with the brain formation.
Then, there are other conditions that can occur at any time during someone's life that can cause epilepsy.
Those conditions that are acquired would be those related to a physical injury to the brain or an infection in the brain, such as meningitis, which is an infection of the covering around the brain, or an encephalitis, which is an infection of the brain substance itself, as well as you may have stroke, decreased blood supply, nutrients going to the brain, also causing seizures and epilepsy.
Seizures do not always involve convulsions or jerking of the body. There are in fact over 20 different seizure types. Many are quite subtle, as in the case of 12-year-old Liana.
We found out when she was about 3 months old. It was something very subtle. We found out that she was just staring in one direction for probably a minute or two, keeping that stare.
For Marvin Fullerton, his experience was different.
I first found out in 1994, November 1994, when I was in technical high school. What I did was feeling some itching on my skin. I went to the school nurse, asked her what was wrong with me, and she told me that I need to change my bath soap. Right.
And what happened after that?
Well, I changed my bath soap and nothing really changed after. But it was January 4, 1995 when I had my first attack. and I woke up in my father's car going to hospital.
Even though he was soon diagnosed with epilepsy, Marvin was able to live a normal life for most of his years as a student.
I was able to go to school. I was put on simple medications such as Tegitol CR 200. No problem. It was easy taking it. It prevented me from having an attack, but my body was not having much problems at those times.
Marvin went on to attend the Vocational Training Development Institute, VTDI, and the University of Technology. He holds a diploma in architecture and construction management. But despite his academic achievements, he still has challenges gaining employment.
I'm not working right now because it was just the other day I was in the hospital, right? And I got an interview for a job. The interview was wonderful, but I was in the hospital, so the job somewhat got turned down. They found out about the situation and I got turned down.
Unfortunately, there are those who believe that persons with epilepsy cannot work or lead normal lives.
Most people, 70 to 80% of people with epilepsy can have their seizures controlled. It's the person you employ who you don't yet have their first seizure. Those are the ones that you should be worried about, because any of us can develop epilepsy for different reasons at any time.
If you believe someone is having a seizure, there are some things you should never do.
Do not put any objects in the mouth. Do not put a spoon to hold the tongue down. Do not bring scallion. Do not take a dirty sneaker and put over the face.
So then, what should you do?
You need to cushion their heads. Whether you have a cushion or a jacket, you can take off and make a cushion just to support the head so they don't damage themselves. You loosen, if it's a man with a tie, loosen his clothing so that he can get some air and he can relax. You turn the person on the side. Do not put them with their heads right back. Turn them on their side and the tongue will fall and any fluids of the mouth will drain out to the side. And I guarantee you, you cannot swallow your tongue. A seizure would take between 3 to 5 minutes. Now, if the seizure continues for more than 5 minutes, you should take that person to the hospital.
Anti-seizure medication is the most commonly used method to control seizures. Discounts are available for epilepsy patients who are registered with the National Health Fund. But there are side effects. Some persons experience weight gain, drowsiness, irritability, skin rashes, and blood platelet changes, among others, all of which require understanding from those around them. Then, there is also medical marijuana or medical cannabis.
It seems to have helped a number of, especially children with epilepsy that have been intractable, that is difficult to treat. But in Jamaica, we still need legislation in order to use it, and there's still a lot of research that needs to be done about the dosing of the CBD or cannabidiol to be used to treat epilepsy, but it surely seems as though it may be promising.
Research has also shown that diets such as a ketogenic diet can help control the onset of epileptic seizures. The Jamaican Association for Epilepsy offers support for persons with epilepsy and their families. The association also holds regular meetings with members at the Andrews Hospital to share experiences and discuss concerns. They can be contacted at telephone 968-8274 or email jaepilepsy@gmail.com.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
We're also celebrating science and technology this November as an important pillar in advancing humanity. In Jamaica, we have had our share of accomplishments, and our next feature highlights one of the researchers responsible for some of those. Take a look.
Research scientists, the answer to the equation of product development. Vital to our everyday lives, they leave their mark in various fields, be it medicine, food, pesticides, or cosmetics. Meet Dr. Lawrence Williams, a scientist who has devoted his life to research, a Jamaican who serves as an example of the scientific brain the island has to offer.
When I finished my Bachelor of Science degree at the University of West Indies, I decided to do natural product pesticide research with Professor Ajay Mansingh. And from there, it got deeper and deeper. I then developed a liking for pesticide research and medicinal drug development. And that's where now I'm getting most of the success in my research.
Accredited to his many research successes is the International Patent Award he received for a compound isolated from the guinea hen weed. This plant is widely grown in Jamaica and other parts of the Caribbean, as well as areas of Central and South America and Africa. The protein compound dibenzyl trisulfide found in the guinea hen weed has the potential to cure cancer, one of the leading causes of deaths globally.
DTS, as I call it, is a very unique anti-cancer molecule in that it not only goes for one type of cancer cell, it goes for at least 12 types of cancer cell in the joint research programs that are going on the trisulfide.
Among these cancers are those of the brain, bladder, breast, skin, fibrous and small cell lung cancer. Dr. Williams' research took him to Germany, where he partnered with other professors. They have so far linked the anti-cancer action of dibenzyl trisulfide to the molecule's ability to disrupt the cytoskeleton framework of two types of cells, actin and microtubules. Basically, normal cells in a cancer-free body do not divide, but when cancer is present, the microtubule cells divide rapidly. This research suggests that the anti-cancer compound in the guinea hen weed can fight that process and eventually kill the cancerous cells. The success of this research could mean a replacement of many cancer drugs that have toxic side effects. So what's next?
We have done a lot of what we call test tube research. Now, our next step would be clinical trials. And then we hope that we would have a compound on the market to treat cancer.
Dr. Williams' research could change the face of medicine. and the scientific breakthrough would mean good news for Jamaica, given its ability to contribute to health and foreign exchange earnings.
Can you imagine getting the cure for cancer? In the United States of America, the treatment for breast cancer alone value over $40 billion US. And if this is a cure for cancer, you can imagine all of that money coming to Jamaica. That's super.
The guinea hen weed is widely used in tropical, herbal and veterinary medicine, and also as a fungicide and pesticide. The Scientific Research Council, SRC, one of the island's chief supporters of scientific research and development, is also looking at other Jamaican plants for the antioxidant property, which is recognized as an agent for treating degenerative diseases.
So research is very crucial for the development of Jamaica as it relates to its plants and other natural products. Marine environment is another broad area of research. And I don't think that the university is putting enough into marine research. I think we should have maybe 4 or 5 researchers in marine science.
For his part, Dr. Williams is also researching treatment options for cattle ticks, the development of pesticides, and screening Jamaican plants for ACE inhibitory activity, a compound used to normalize high blood pressure. He has received several awards from the Biographical Institute in the United States and the United Kingdom, and got the first Young Scientist Award in Jamaica, the Caribbean Academia of Science Award, and the Silver Musgrave Awards for Scientific Research. A mentor to young scientists, Dr. Williams strongly believes that acquiring their PhD and doing postdoctorate research will build confidence in their ability to carry out more advanced research.
When you're well trained as a scientist, you can have a broad command of various fields.
So with new technology and discoveries emerging every day, this will lead to exciting opportunities for research scientists.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
This is where we end our journey for today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another program. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, gis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through a mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you that COVID's still a keep, plus the flu. So practice your infection prevention and control measures and stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.